A memory Dube, also known as Coach Memza, is a passionate sports scientist, a sports coach, and a fitness trainer who basically has the love for sport dating back from childhood. Um, I find that at primary, I was very much involved in sport. I used to play netball. I used to play the position of center. And up until Form 2, yeah. Then in Form 3, I don't really remember what happened, but I know that's when I started playing volleyball in Form 3, like first ever playing volleyball. In a week's time, I made it into the volleyball team that started traveling. So that's when basically my journey in volleyball started. I then went on to play for Highlanders Volleyball Club. Um, with Coach Ruben and Coach Tulani, and then I went on to play for college national teams. I went on to play for the national team. Oh yeah, so that's more like my road to becoming a coach, because I also then studied sports science at NAST. So I studied while I was still a student at NAST. I started helping out coaching schools, and then I was elected to be assistant coach for Coach Jasper Moyo, who was then the national women team's coach. But I was elected to assist him to coach the Bulawayo province girls volleyball team that went to Wange in 2007. And then in 2008, the team went with the youth games team, which was in Gweru. So basically, that's when like my coaching career started. Um, I had only done the national course. And then in 20, was it 2016, 2017? I'm not really sure now. But I took part in level one, in coaching the level one. So I had always said I want to get to a point where I'll coach at club level. At some point in time, helped Coach Dururu to coach the grassroots, the junior stars grassroots teams that he has. So I felt like I was ripe and ready to coach a club. So Coach Munyaradzi, Engineer Munyaradzi Mavima, was the head coach at the UZ. So I went to him. I literally asked him, I was like, Coach, can I come and help you with the coaching here? I needed to gain more experience when it comes to coaching clubs. And honestly, I don't know how it came about that I chose a men's team. I honestly don't know. But my idea when I first went there was I wanted to more like give out a psychological point of view when it comes to the sport of volleyball, because it's a lot of it's a game that needs a lot of psychology, yeah. And it's a game that most of the times it's about the mindset. Yes, it's about the skill, but during the game the mindset has to be sharp. It needs psychologically stable, basically athletes who are on point when it comes to their psychological thinking. So Engineer Mavima agreed, and then he spoke to the director, Mr. Chemere, and he agreed. And I remember I was introduced to the boys. Those boys are very tall, and they were so excited. Like, okay, no one ever really thought about it. No one ever really gave me that look to say, oh, this is a female in a men's world, in the men's team, you know but probably because a year before that I was with the club Naba, but in Naba I was playing a different role. I was their physio. I traveled with Naba to Walvis, to Swakopmund in 2016. Yeah, but as a physio. I won't say I really, really felt that I was like, oh, a female coach, or the first one, or anything. Honestly, it really felt so normal. Maybe because the volleyball fraternity in Zim is more like a family, so everyone knew me. There was just nothing sinister. I really didn't get a lot of people looking at me with that eye. It could be maybe at the zone sixes where people would ask, oh, you're coaching the men's, oh, you're coaching the men's. But eventually, even with our zone six countries, the few countries, Zambia, South Africa, Botswana, Mozambique, Namibia, they got used to the fact that I was with the men's team. I've never really faced challenges when it comes to coaching the boys, when it comes to coaching the men. I actually would surprise you if I tell you that I find it even more easier to coach the men's side more than the female side. With the men's side, I think because I'm a female, that kind of attention that I give them, it also makes them to give me the same attention. I'll give you an example where most of the times when we are coaching, you'd find that at times my other colleagues, the technical team, they had to get a message through me so that the boys could hear them out. Men to men, they can be fights, they can be all those things. So if really times were tough during a game, they would be like, Coach Memo, talk to them. So I think it was more like a different dimension where here is a female, here is someone who can take care of people, and that's the approach that we try to exploit. Um, well, I've never really faced challenges, in all honest, like I said earlier on. But I think I've managed to navigate by not telling myself that I'm a female. I've managed to navigate by being on point when it comes to my coaching abilities. I have to read the game the same way my male counterparts, the coaches, read the game. I have to be able to give out an instruction the same way my male colleagues give out an instruction. I just have to know the game. I have to understand the game without me saying, no, I'm a female. I just have to say, you know what? Being female aside, we are here to play volleyball. So that's how I've really managed to navigate. But I've also taken advantage of being female and build relationships. I've noticed most times we tend to think that men are stronger, but dealing with them, the University of Zimbabwe men's volleyball team, I learned that they've got certain areas where they really need someone to give attention to them. And most of the times we don't give the male athletes attention. So I exploited that. I would find time to talk to them. I would find time to ask them, how are you doing? And I noticed that would really build the more the team relationship, even when we're on court, even off the court. I think we should just stop the mindset that women have certain jobs that they can do, and there's certain jobs or there's certain stuff that they can't do. I think we should just encourage women to come up there and take up those roles by telling them that, hey, look, you can do it. By also opening up when there are courses, we literally have to make a move of maybe saying we need 5 women, we need 5 men, because most of the times in coaching clinics, you'll find that there's always few women, the number of women as compared to men. I think it should start from there. I give credit to the technical coaching staff at the University of Zimbabwe. They give in their all, they give in their time, they give in their finances, they give in their time with their families just to come and to groom and to train the University of Zimbabwe teams. And also I think the fact that the base for choosing the athletes, like universities, they've got a base. Most of the students who are playing volleyball at high school, they will choose to go to University of Zimbabwe because of the brand that has already been created over the past years, the time that I used to play. So I think that's part of how then it's easier to get players who already have a base, though there are some players who come and they don't have a base, and you see the coaches working through with them. But I think that's really has made the team to remain solid and to be able to dominate. And I think also the fact that Use It is a brand, you know when it comes to someone who comes to use it and they don't know volleyball, but they're determined because they know, you know what, I can train volleyball, and if I train, we can do it. And the few players who are there, who are like the best players, they mentor other players who are coming up well. So just that system of continuity, it has managed to keep the University of Zimbabwe dominating. And I pray that it continues being the same. I pray that the University of Zimbabwe continues identifying students from high school if you notice, there's certain groups of students who will be identified from high school, and then after a year you find them they're playing for the University of Zimbabwe. I think it's actually very good. That culture should not be destroyed. That model should stay. You know. I think professionalizing volleyball is a topic that is ish, outstanding in Zimbabwe. I I feel like we don't market our sport enough. Okay, like market isn't to get our partners out there. But then again, I'm not sure how partners would come up with the current economic situation. It's more like a 50-50 thing. But I feel like if we were really were to work hard, seeing that now we are one of the powerhouses in Southern Africa when it comes to volleyball, I really think we would get a partner out there. And the minute you get partners out there, the corporates coming in, it sets out a base for professionalizing your sport. But I also think as clubs, as the volleyball family, we need to also show certain levels of professionalism that can then help us to get those corporates to have corporates roping in to partner with volleyball in Zimbabwe. But I think there's a lot of marketing that needs to be done, because I think volleyball as a brand, it's quite measurable now. Yeah, it's quite measurable. I think we just need to get it out there in the country. We just need to talk more. We just need to do more. We need to go around and look for funds, and take it from that angle. Yeah. And I think we need to stop making it like more of a blame game when it comes to volleyball in our country. We need to, as the University of Zimbabwe, we need to play our part. We should start professionalizing it as the University of Zimbabwe. And then Zimbabwe Volleyball Association, they also have their own part to play. So I feel like when it comes to professionalizing, there are people, yes, who should spearhead, but I feel like everyone has got to take a part. Instead of pointing hands, someone has to do something to say, look, I've tried the professional approach. I'll give you an example. For example, at the University of Zimbabwe, we used to have a psychologist, because we wanted to try and take a serious professional route. There's certain things that we would do with in terms of training with our players, in terms of talking with our players, but at the same time we lack that support, where that professionalism would then come in when it comes to things like steep ends, to things like finances. Yeah, I feel like it's a broader question or a broader topic when you're asking me about professionalism, but I hope eventually in future it's going to be done in Zim. Um, Currently I'm the assistant coach to the best team in Zambia, Team Chalube. Yes, I do see myself coaching the national team. Yeah, I have been planning to continue with the coaching courses up until I get to being an instructor. An instructor, someone who train the coaches. You know, but yeah, I think it then surrounds around the issues that, because volleyball is not that professional, you don't then really plan around your life in terms of volleyball, because we do it as a passion. But you know what? 2 to 5 years from now, I should be an instructor when it comes to volleyball. I should have coached national teams that will perform, national teams that will achieve something. You know. I have a passion for the youth. Why? Basically, I also chose more like clubs, colleges, or maybe this age. It's because most of the times it's the youth. When I say the youth, maybe from teenage from 15 years. Clubs have basically people from 16 years up to 30, and a few on early 30s. And I feel like we have a gap when it comes to that part, because we hardly ever find mentors who talk to such athletes about their lives. So I also fill in that gap. I talk to athletes, to volleyball players, with the girls, with the boys, about their lives. It's at times we help each other financially when it comes to school fees, when it comes to emotional aspects, when it comes to relationships, because I feel like some people come to sport for different reasons, and those who come to sport because they are talented, we might as well use sport to help them with other aspects of their life. For example, you can have someone who's talented in sport, but the parents are not financially stable to support them through university and tuition. So me and the other coaches, we generally come in and we support these athletes in a lot of different aspects. There's so many things that are happening out there in the world, and the more such youths know that, in sport I can get emotional help, in sport I can get financial help, in sport I can get someone to talk to. We've kept a crime, we have helped a life. I also found that that's a calling. That's more like my spiritual calling, my godly calling. So that's what I do, and I'm enjoying it. I call them my sons. Yeah, you know. Oh, wow. My mentor is Coach Martin Dururu. Though I appreciate the fact that there's someone called Ruben Debele who introduced me to volleyball. But my current mentor is Coach Martin Dururu. And then my other mentor is, when it comes to volleyball, Tulani Maposa, who's now also an instructor. He's based in Swaziland. But I also want to appreciate the people who mentor me when it comes to being in the world of sports. I don't know if you know someone called Titus Zomuya. So yeah, those are one of my mentors. I look onto people like Anam Guni, who's the current CEO of ZOC. So as a woman, I'll talk to them. I'll find out stuff about them. Chieza Mafunga, I'll find out stuff about them. Like they'll talk to me, tell me stuff about how to maneuver when it comes to the sports fraternity. I don't know. To someone who wants to be a professional volleyball player, I would say nothing is impossible. You don't stop your desires or your wishes because you're looking at the situation in Zimbabwe, like you're saying, no, there's no professional volleyball in Zimbabwe. I would say go for it. I mean, the sky is the limit anyway, but I would also say it is important to know that there are certain aspects that you consider when you're a volleyball player, things like height, things like getting the basics, things like getting good coaches who know about the sport, things like you knowing how to do your own fitness programs, especially during such a time as the corona times. But I would also say there's no limit. I mean, we have a player who went to Japan and now he's coaching in Japan. So someone can actually get to play professional volleyball whilst they are from Zim. All you just have to do is focus on your goal, keep working hard, and have the proper networks that will get you to achieve what you want to achieve. The first lesson that I'm learning in Zambia is the fact that whatever things I've passed through in Zimbabwe, whatever places I've gone through in Zimbabwe, they were preparing me for times like this, where I am in Zambia, where I'm able to share my knowledge, where I'm able to try to set a benchmark, or not really a benchmark, to set goals that I know are achievable, because I'm saying, look, if with the University of Zimbabwe we achieve this, so with Chalube in Zambia, where I am, we can achieve this. So I have learned to say, every place that I go to, I use my previous knowledge, and I also try to learn as much about the people that I'm now with, but the first thing that I'm learning, like I told you, is that it's the same in the men's world. It's the same in volleyball. Stuff is the same in volleyball. I may be in different countries now, but stuff is the same in volleyball. Hence, I'm able to relate, to use my the circumstances that I heard in Zimbabwe with the Zambian team. Yeah.